Hi everyone, I'm Erica Long, and I spent my year working at the Women's Halfway House at Freedom House Recovery Center. I have to be honest, I have been preparing for this night for an embarrassingly long time. When I was getting ready for my interview with JIP in the spring of 2012, I watched every single end-of-the-year dinner speech on the JIP website. It got to the point that when one of my interviewers introduced himself as Jim Douglas, my response was, "Oh, you're the guy who rode the bus with Philip, the senior center." My overpreparedness for this evening coincidentally relates to the one value of JIP that I've experienced the most growth in this year. Coming from the competitive atmosphere of a small liberal arts college in New England, I thought watching all the alum videos was a way to give myself an edge over the other applicants. I really wanted this internship, and I spent hours preparing for my interview, not only so I would be a great intern, but also so that I would appear better than all the other candidates. Looking back on this, especially after my engagement in our 10-week servant leadership classes, I recognized that competitiveness was my way to combat my fear of an uncertain future. Thankfully, I was chosen, and I arrived here last August with my end-of-the-year dinner dress packed in my suitcase. It didn't take long for JIP to shake up my illusion of a somewhat certain future and show me that rather than pushing others out of the way, it's all right to let go and trust in the abundance of creation to provide all that is needed. My experience with JIP has shown me that I can collaborate instead of compete. In my placement at Freedom House Recovery Center, and by living in community with 7 other interns, I have learned that sometimes I need to just let go and believe that there will be loving strangers to guide me in the right direction. This really began for me during the placement process. Rather than competing for the most lucrative placement, I had to work with my 7 other roommates to decide who would interview where. After our interviews, we learned that we turned in our evaluations to the JIP staff and board and waited anxiously to hear where we would be working for the next 11 months. Wow, for once I just gave up control and put my trust in JIP that things would work out. When I opened my envelope and it said that I'd be working at the Women's House at Freedom House Recovery Center, I wasn't entirely sure that collaborating with JIP had worked out. I showed up for my first day of work confused and afraid that this was not what Freedom House and I had signed up for. Sitting in the Women's House on my first day, I felt uncomfortable and out of place. As I sat there, slowly feeling the weight of my insecurities, a client came through the door and sat next to me. Without introduction, she began telling me her story, how she had been neglected as a child and teased in school, and because of this, she never believed anyone when they told her they loved her. How now, in this house, for the first time, she truly felt like people cared about her and her future. As she finished her story, she put her hand on my knee and said, "It's great to have you here." I realized that by giving in to my insecurities, I had created a wall between women and me that didn't exist. With the guidance of 3 incredibly strong, passionate, and inspiring supervisors, I was to, as they say in Narcotics Anonymous, let go and let God for one of the first times in my life. Since September, I've had the honor to be a presence in the lives of over 50 women starting their recovery from substance abuse and addiction at the Women's House. It has been a part of my life story that I never could have predicted, but I know I will carry deep in my heart forever. My life in community with 7 strangers has been equally unpredictable, but profoundly transforming. To think that these were the people I saw myself competing against last spring is unbelievable. Everything we have done together has been a collaborative effort. From cooking dinner together 4 nights a week, to planning a weekend trip to the Outer Banks. Last March, I was emailing with a prospective intern for next year, and I found myself typing, "The most rewarding parts of JIP are the most challenging." Living in community is a challenge, but we stuck together, we rode the monsters down, and here we are, 8 young adults who definitely know more about ourselves and how we relate to the world than we did last August. I would like to close tonight with a Unitarian Universalist reading written by my grandfather, Reverend David Pohl. And I don't know if you guys saw, there are these cards on the table. And it's a responsive reading, so I'm going to invite you all to join me. We come to this time and place
to rediscover the wondrous gift of free religious community,
to renew the faith in the holiness, goodness, and beauty of life,
to reaffirm the way of the open mind and full heart,
to rekindle the flame of memory and hope, and
to rekindle the vision of an earth made fair with all her people one.